Welcome to the Sliver and Bite podcast. Welcome to the Sliver and Bite podcast. Welcome to the Sliver and Bite podcast. I'm Chris, baker, entrepreneur, and big business survivor. Here we will explore the challenges of entrepreneurship and flick the switch on self-discovery in order to carve out your own path. So join me on a journey which will hopefully enlighten, entertain, and educate. On today's episode, I don't know that there is a business out there, company, corporation, that isn't customer-centric. I remember saying years ago that shopping malls would end up being stores with vending machines. You'll get the overzealous one up in your face and welcoming you to the store and pointing out the discounts, trying to upsell you. And to me, that is almost a complete 360 and walk out of the store. What you just heard there was 3 introductions, because there are so many different ways to provide customer service. Some overzealous, some flippant, and then you get your neutral, sort of middle of the road, which I think is the best way to start. Neutral, middle of the road, because you need to gauge the person in front of you. What mood are they in? Do they need to be picked up and be vibrating at such a high frequency that they're overwhelmed? Or do you have that flippant, whatever attitude, hey, welcome, what do you think that is broadcasting? But if you can greet somebody middle of the road, hi, how are you today? And then they come back overzealous, depressed, middle of the road, then you can actually engage at their level. So let's start with some definitions. I always like to do that because let's just get down to the crux of what customer service is. So, looking it up online, so customer service, the assistance and advice provided by a company to those people who buy or use its product or services. That is customer service. How about customer-centric? Demands that the customer is the focal point of all decisions related to delivering products, services, and experiences to create customer satisfaction, loyalty, and advocacy. That is key. That customer-centric definition is the backbone, because I don't know that there is a business out there, company, corporation, that isn't customer-centric. Because whatever we're creating, be it software, be anything in the background, will always eventually reach a customer. So everything we do, every industry, is customer-centric. If you dig down deep, the end user is always a customer. So I did some research into specific industries that would possibly not have anything to do with customer service. And the only industry I could find was R&D, research and development. They are non-customer centric. However, like I just mentioned, the reason why they're doing their research and development is to better serve customers. So in a roundabout way, they are customer centric. Where do we find customer service? Where is it? I'll tell you. It's in hotels, grocery stores, fast food, the delivery partner delivering your food, the local GP, the coffee shop, the barber, the hairdresser, even your electronic devices these days, they're customer service related because they're anticipating your needs. When you're talking to something AI on a on hold situation, that is customer service, but it's just not a human being. I remember saying years ago, I'm saying a good decade, maybe decade and a half, that shopping malls would end up being just stores with vending machines, and they would be able to do it best. Half the time, people are online these days looking up what they want and what they need, and they're just going into a store. I certainly know that I'm not a big fan of online shopping. So I will comb through what the options are online and then head to a store and pick it out. I think that's in large part to the fact that I'm completely impatient. And once I purchase something, I want to have it in my hands. I don't want to have to wait for postage, which, in this era of these massive, fast fashion brands being able to post stuff out at the click of a button, it still takes time. I don't want to wait 3 days. I don't even want to wait 1 day. I want it in my hands straight away. But then the element to that is I have to go into a store and be greeted by a store clerk. Customer service. I think that regardless of whether we want the customer service, certainly in store, you'll get the overzealous, you'll get the flippant, and you'll get the neutral, like I had done in my introduction. You'll get the overzealous one up in your face and welcoming you to the store and pointing out the discounts, trying to upsell you. And to me, that is almost a complete 180 and walk out of the store. I will go to another store because it's just too much. I hardly even want to be acknowledged when I go into a store. And I don't know, that could be something to do with my hang-ups on, a lot of fashion brands not carrying my size. That could be it. But also, I am actually happy with just the, hey, let me know if you need a hand. But what is annoying is having the store clerk in the corner talking to a friend or a colleague and not even acknowledging you. That, again, is cause for a 180 and out of there, because you need some resemblance of acknowledgement. The chances are you're going to spend money in this store. However little the sum is, it's still money for the company. And I think what I've outlined in the just under 10 minutes of speaking to you about customer service and some of my experience is that it depends on the customer's mood and the importance of the shop clerks fully understanding how to read the customer. And this really heavily relies on management and the training that goes into educating their staff members on how to communicate with their customers. In saying that, back to management's responsibility, we need to really think about who we're hiring. Because if you're going to go for the cheap labor route and you're going for the teenager, well, their experience level is basically non-existent. So let's place this teenager. Fresh teenager, never worked a day in their life, at the express checkout counter at a grocery store. The only experience they would have is experience when they've purchased items themselves, which half the time they were probably with their parents or a guardian. They've got the experience of conversing with their teachers, and they've had the experience with their family and friends. They don't have this third-party person come through that they don't know intimately. They don't know how to speak. They don't know how to resolve issues yet. They've not had any life experience. So, side note, not only as an experienced person interacting with somebody young or somebody that doesn't have any experience, should we practice patience? Because whilst if you are inclined to jump up and down about an issue, it's certainly something that they can learn from, but we all need to practice a little patience. But it is certainly up to management to equip their staff members with the tools to enable to do their job correctly. Because realistically, if you've got all of your processes sorted out, apart from resolving the odd issue here and there, it should be smooth sailing. And one of the ways that you can empower and educate your staff is something called customer service mapping. I was in hospitality for upwards of 11 years, and prior to that, I was in various forms of customer service, customer-facing roles for 17 years. And one massive takeaway was the customer journey, the guest journey. We would welcome them on the driveway and ask them how their trip was towards the hotel. Then we would walk them to the front desk. They would welcome them and say, "How was your trip to the hotel?" Then it would be bell service's turn to walk them up to their room and give them a room orientation. And what was the question? How was your trip to the hotel? At this point, the guest has already repeated themselves 3 times. What type of thought process went into the guest's arrival to the hotel? So what was implemented at this particular hotel was the driveway would ask about where they came from. The front office clerk would deal with the present, so the booking details, how many nights they were staying for, correcting any clerical issues that were with the profile, and a mixture between front office clerks and bell services / concierge would ask about any future plans, assistance in booking restaurants or booking daybeds by the pool. And even as I record this, I am going back to those days. And the way that I'm explaining it, it's almost like there's some momentum to this guest journey already. They've come in the door, they've been whisked to front desk, they've been pushed to the bell services, and you're establishing some momentum instead of just this stagnant, welcome, how are you, how was your journey? Welcome, how are you, how was your journey? It's all feels very monotone and very stagnant. Now, I could stand here and talk about customer service in hospitality all day. However, let's look at customer service in retail. Now, I've already addressed what would make me turn around if I enter a store, the overzealous or the underwhelming. But how can we adapt the customer mapping or the customer journey to somebody walking into a retail store? The first and most important element is to greet them. And remember, we're greeting middle of the road. Hi, welcome to my retail store. And we want to follow that up with options. You don't want to go, hi, welcome to my retail store. What can I help you with today? That's putting the customer in such a position of, oh my gosh, I need to reply to this person. You will be, I'm saying almost 100% of the time, it's okay, I'm just looking. Giving them options allows you to still remain in control. Hi, welcome to my retail store. Are you looking for something specific, or are you happy to browse? Again, most times out of 10, it will be, I'm just happy to browse. But what you've done is taken the pressure off of them to make a decision. Most times, you will probably result in a sale because of this, or the customer will automatically assume that you understand them, and they will be more inclined to go, do you know what? I'm actually after this jumper. Do you have it in green? From then on, once you've locked in the customer because you have given them everything they want, which is acknowledgement and the offer of help, you can then launch into the sales. Then you can guide them to the fitting room, and then hopefully that sale. Customer service is about understanding the customer in front of you. And if management have done their job right and they explain what the job entails, realistically, conversing with customers should be simple. Now let's talk grocery stores. It's certainly something we all do. We all shop for groceries. When entering a store, you don't necessarily get greeted, although there is a chain in Australia now who are making an effort to greet and farewell everyone that enters the store. And at first it was a bit confronting because it was new to grocery stores. There was never that level of attention when entering a grocery store. You're really in bread, milk, eggs, butter, out. However, the more local stores, they're trying to embed themselves into the community, which I think is amazing, and I've really warmed to it. Although you walk into your standard grocery store, you're not looking for attention when you walk in. However, you do want that staff member when you're looking for something in particular. So you're looking for the avocados. When you look up, you are hoping that you have somebody in the grocery section, in the produce section, to ask, "Hi, sorry to interrupt, just wondering where the avocados are." Now, there are several ways that this greengrocer can assist you. They can point in the direction of them and say, "They're just over there." And that is acceptable, depending, I guess, on the customer. An elderly person, you might want to walk them over there. Somebody young and sprightly like myself, he says, smirking, the point may be okay as long as you have a visual on it. But to be walked 2 steps in the direction of where the avocados are, that's perfect, because you're giving them enough attention without just pointing and sending them on their way. So the 2 steps away from your station, wherever you are, possibly stocking the bananas, really goes a long way. And therein lies the possibility of spending more purely because you feel valued. Now, the complete opposite to what I've just said was an experience I had at a grocery store when I was looking for a particular brand of sausages. I approached the clerk that was in the meat section and I said, "I'm just after this brand." He turned to me with this sort of a scowl on his face. It was unsettling, and I don't know whether he thought it was because he sees me there often enough that he was able to look at me with this look on his face and say, "Yeah, we don't stock them anymore." Well then, why are they still available online if they're not available in store? Perhaps you could have gone, "Oh, hi. Yes, unfortunately, we don't stock them anymore. I'm so sorry that you're seeing them on the online store. I'll get in touch with management to get them removed." Now, how do you think that I would have reacted to that? Certainly much more positive than it's still clearly annoying me to this day. And I'm saying that this probably happened well over 7 months ago. but I'm bringing it up 7 months later in a podcast as bad customer service. So we've spoken a bit about customer interaction. Let's speak about why the staff members would have acted the way they did. And let's remove bad days out of this, because everyone has a bad day. However, I see consistent poor customer service from the same staff members because I'm out on the road and I deal with store clerks and staff members all the time. And I feel, purely because I know what it feels like to be in their position when you're a part of a team and a company, is the way that management treat them. If you treat your staff poorly, why on earth can you expect them to go out and promote your business? Because that's what they're doing. And I feel that many managers, CEOs, bosses, they lose touch with how important the frontline staff members are. They are an extension of the CEO, these bosses, the managers, the shareholders. It's amazing just how close the hierarchy is and the distance that this management team put between them and the frontline staff. I think that it's amazing just how complacent upper management can be in relation to their frontline staff. The manager that reports to them and looks after the staff, they have arguably the most vital role, fostering an environment that allows these frontline staff members to flourish when it comes to customer service. Now, looking back, I've had some really dismal managers and I've had some amazing managers that coached me in customer service. And yes, whilst you can learn a lot from poor management, it's not ideal. I think that managers are able to slip up every now and then, but it's the managers above the managers that should be keeping tabs on them and not just taking their word for it. Because half the time they're just trying to cover their ass so that the manager above can cover their ass. And then it's up to the CEO to just go, yeah, there seems to be a breakdown here. It's not good enough. Everyone has a part to play in great customer service. And it frustrates me that anyone above a frontline manager thinks that they're exempt from that. So let's talk a little bit about training your staff members. It is definitely apparent that there are some people out there that have a natural flair for customer service. And there are some people out there that need to work on it. It just depends on how introverted or extroverted they are. And regardless, they both have their charms. And we're not looking to be robotic. If anything, you want to steer clear of that. We're in the age in 2024, and it's already begun, of being authentic. Authenticity is key. And if you are going to be met with fake, scripted welcomes and customer service, a lot of people just won't have it anymore. We're in this social media era where we are exposed to way too many characters that we can pick it. What you want to do is empower your staff members to be genuine. You can't go wrong with having a genuine interaction with someone, whether they are an introvert or an extrovert. Customer service these days is dynamic. Like I said to you, when I walk into a store and I get the overzealous or the underwhelming, my nose is out of joint and I'm walking out of there because, just like every other customer, I'm fickle. And unfortunately, I can't just simply swipe you away like I can do on my cell phone. And I think that this is a great segue into ensuring the hiring team, whether it be the direct line manager that you will be working for or whether it's HR, to hire the right person for the job. Don't just hire because you need to fill a position. You need to make sure you're hiring for the role. And if you have somebody that is painfully shy and can hardly get through the interview, perhaps they're not right for a customer-facing role. Possibly somewhere else in the business, they might be able to work on coming out of their shell and move towards a customer-facing role. But I think it's a tall ask to just go, yeah, well, actually we need someone, so just put them in and then we'll just train them up. Well, no, you really should be hiring for attitude and then training them the rest of the way. Now, I've spoken a lot in this podcast in relation to management's responsibility here. And there's certainly a lot more to be said in relation to management, but I will save that for another podcast because I feel that there is a lot to be said, and just trying to cram it in here, I don't think is the place. But as you can see, I have gone back, I've looped around to the fact that it's not really the staff's fault, it's management's fault for poor customer service. And it's in large part to management simply being present and keeping their fingers on the pulse as to what is actually happening in their outlet, hotel, their industry. You can't just have a couple of days worth of training and just go, there you go, run the front of house for me. It's just, this is not the way anymore. Customer service, looking back now at the podcast that I've just recorded, it's simple. The staff members just require them to be themselves and understand what they're selling, pushing, or what customer service they are supposed to be providing, whatever industry that they're in. It is really, truly just about being genuine and having a sound understanding of the business. It's really not difficult at all. And I certainly understand that customer service in a world-renowned 5-star hotel versus a grocery store are vastly different. However, if you've hired the right person with a sound knowledge of the expectations and you foster an open, honest, and safe environment, how can you go wrong? Thanks for joining me. I hope you benefited from this topic and gained some unique insights to my experience, investigation, and observations. For those of you that have subscribed to this podcast, thank you, and you will be notified of the next episode. Until next time, stay positive and keep seeking knowledge. See you soon.